You know, when you think of Dracula, you probably picture the cape, the fangs, the spooky castle, right? We all do. But what if I told you the real horror in Bram Stoker's original novel isn't just about the monster himself, but about the evidence? So today, we're not just going to retell a story. Nope. We are opening a case file. We're going to dig into this incredible collection of letters, journals, and telegrams to figure out how this fictional dossier actually created the most famous monster of all time.
So it all kicks off with this line: "Welcome to my house." Sounds pretty friendly, doesn't it? But here's the genius of Bram Stoker. He doesn't just spoon-feed you the story. Oh, no. He makes us, the readers, become detectives. We have to piece everything together from all these different scraps of information: journals, telegrams, newspaper articles, just like the characters in the book. It's not a normal story at all. It's basically a dossier of a complete nightmare. And that right there is why it's so powerful.
All right, let's dive in. Our first piece of evidence comes from the journal of a young English lawyer, a guy named Jonathan Harker. He thinks he's just on a routine business trip, heading deep into the Carpathian Mountains. But you can feel it in his writing. He's leaving his modern, rational world behind and stepping into something, well, something ancient and incredibly sinister. And right away, you see this huge disconnect. On one hand, you've got Harker, this modern guy from England, looking around and thinking, wow, this place is beautiful. But then, the moment he says where he's going, Castle Dracula, everything changes. The local people are terrified. They start crossing themselves, looking at him with this deep, primal fear that he just doesn't get. And that gap, the gap between what he sees and what they know, that's where the dread really starts to creep in. Okay, so he makes it to the castle. And let me tell you, this is where the business trip ends and the nightmare begins. Harker is no longer a tourist. He's a prisoner. And his journal, it stops being a travel diary and turns into this chilling, detailed study of the man or thing that has trapped him. And Harker is a lawyer, right? So he records everything with this insane precision. Look at this list he builds. It's like he's documenting a monster, piece by piece. The extraordinary pallor, the hair on his palms, those long, sharp nails, the rank breath. And then the real kicker. The count has no reflection. Every single detail just screams that this is not a man. It's a portrait of something completely inhuman, and Harker's our only witness. And then comes this moment. This is where all of Harker's unease and suspicion just explodes into pure terror. He literally watches Dracula crawl down the side of the castle wall, face down, like some kind of giant lizard, his cloak spreading out like great wings. I mean, can you even imagine? The laws of physics, of nature itself, are just gone. That image is burned into his mind, and he knows, without a doubt, he's trapped with something pure evil. So this is the question that's just screaming from the pages of his journal. What manner of man is this? Or is it even a man at all? His whole world has been turned upside down. This isn't a business trip. It's a trap. His host is a predator. And his journal is no longer just a diary. It's a desperate cry for help, a message in a bottle from a place where logic and reason have died. So just when we feel like we're trapped in that castle right alongside Harker, Stoker does something brilliant. He yanks us right out of there. The story suddenly jumps from Harker's personal horror to something completely different, the cold, official log of a ship. And through these new documents, we realize something terrifying. The evil isn't just in Transylvania anymore. It's on a boat, and it's headed for London. This ship's log, it's basically the first ever found footage horror story, just written down. It's this chilling, day-by-day record of a crew just disappearing. One by one, they vanish, or they go completely insane. You read the entries and the dread just builds and builds until you get to that last unbelievable image. The captain, dead at the helm, having tied himself to the wheel just to get his ship to shore. You have to ask, what was he so afraid of? And then the ghost ship crashes. The newspaper reports that a single huge dog was seen leaping from the wreck and running off into the darkness. And that's it. That's the moment the invasion begins. Dracula is in England. And almost immediately, a young woman named Lucy Weston Raw comes down with this mysterious sickness. She's wasting away and nobody knows why. She's his first victim on English soil. So this mysterious illness is what finally brings our whole team of heroes together. And it also brings in the only person who has any clue what's actually going on, Professor Abraham Van Helsing. This guy is not your average doctor. He's a scientist, a philosopher, and he knows about things that defy science. He's the one who looks at this and realizes this isn't a medical problem. This is a supernatural hunt.
Van Helsing is the one who gives us the term for what they're fighting, the undead. And think about what that means. It's a total paradox. This creature isn't alive, but it's not truly dead either. It's incredibly powerful, but as Van Helsing explains, it's also a slave to its own nature. It has to follow a set of ancient rules. And figuring out those rules, well, that's their only chance of winning. And this is maybe the most important thing Van Helsing figures out. Dracula might seem all-powerful, but he's basically operating on a strict set of rules. It's almost like a video game. On one hand, you've got his powers. Strength of 20 men, controls the weather, can turn into a wolf or a bat. Terrifying stuff. But then you have his weaknesses, his vulnerabilities. He's totally powerless in the daytime, he can't cross running water, he's repelled by garlic and holy symbols. And crucially, he has to sleep on his home turf, his native soil. This isn't just a monster, it's a puzzle, and this rulebook is the key to solving it.
So, now they have a plan. They're armed with this critical information, and the hunt is on. Their mission? Find all 50 boxes of Transylvanian dirt that Dracula shipped to London. Why? Because those boxes are his safe houses. They're the only places he can rest during the day. If they can find and sterilize them with holy items, they can leave him with nowhere to hide. They can force him out into the open. But just as they start making progress, Dracula hits back, and he makes it personal. He attacks Mina Harker, Jonathan's wife, and infects her with his curse. He creates this psychic link with her, starting her own slow, horrifying transformation. So all of a sudden, this isn't just about killing a monster anymore. Now it's a desperate race against the clock to save one of their own, to save Mina's very soul.
With his London lairs destroyed, Dracula runs for it. He's trying to get back to the safety of his castle, and what follows is this epic cross-continental chase. And what's so cool is seeing the hunters use every piece of modern technology they have, trains, telegrams, steamships, to try and cut off this ancient creature. It's the 19th century versus the Middle Ages, all in a mad dash to catch him before he reaches his fortress at sunset.
And it all comes down to this. The final moments. They catch up to him right at the Borgo Pass, with the sun literally setting on the horizon. There's no time for a fancy duel. It's a brutal, desperate attack. Jonathan Harker, in an act of pure vengeance, slices his throat with a cookery knife. At the exact same time, the American cowboy Quincy Morris stabs him straight through the heart with a Bowie knife. It took both of them, striking at the same instant, to finally destroy him.
And in that instant, as Dracula's body turns to dust, the red scar on Mina's forehead, the mark of his curse, just vanishes. It's over. The evil is gone, the curse is lifted, they won. And with that, the case file, this whole collection of documents, is finally closed.
So that brings us to the big question, right? Why is this story, this old collection of fictional paperwork, still the absolute blueprint for almost every vampire story we have today? I think it's because Stoker didn't just write a monster story, he created a case file. He made us the investigators. By forcing us to sift through the evidence, to read the desperate journal entries, the ship's logs, the newspaper clippings, he made the unbelievable feel shockingly real. He didn't just invent a monster, he created a record. And by doing that, he made a creature of the night truly immortal.